All right, welcome to another movie review stream. My name is Mark McPherson, film critic for movieswithmark.com. And what do we got today? It's the end of August. There's quite a few films coming out this weekend, but I thought I'd take this time to catch up on a few of the films that I missed this summer. So we'll be covering, of course, Zach Cregger's Weapons, which is one I've been meaning to get to for a while. Also cover K-Pop Demons, which is just K-Pop Demon Hunters, which has exploded since it went on Netflix back in June. It's in, I think it's like heading to theater. I think it's still in theaters right now, so you can check it out there. And also the latest film coming out this weekend of Caught Stealing, a crime comedy from Darren Aronofsky. So we'll get to covering the latest movies, but before we get into that, I'll just let you all know that we're coming up on fall, so there's going to be plenty of films to cover during that time. So be sure to stay up to date on the latest movies by liking this video to let other people know about films like Caught Stealing, which is coming out this weekend, and also to subscribe to stay up to date on the latest movies, which, trust me, you're going to want it in fall because we're going to be covering a lot of ground. I know I don't cover as much now just because my schedule's a little off, but come fall I do set aside time for as many movies as possible to set up my my end of the year review. Gonna review the new Toxic Avenger at some point. I'm gonna try to catch it soon because I know it's probably gonna disappear from theaters quick. So yeah, I gotta check out the new Toxic Avenger. See how it's the first time a trauma film has had that big of a release, I believe. I can't think of a more anticipated. There's always some new trauma film coming out, but I don't think I've ever seen one have that level of anticipation. Probably just for the cast attached. I mean, alone. All right. So let's first get into Caught Stealing. Get my notes here. Latest film from Darren Aronofsky. Okay. Thank goodness. Gotta clear my throat a little bit. One moment. Alright. Okay, let's get into Caught Stealing. Here we go in... A little bit of hair on the side there. All right. Let's get to Caught Stealing in 3, 2, 1. Oh, a little bit of hair there. So Darren Aronofsky's Caught Stealing is based on a book by Charlie Huston, who also wrote the screenplay as well. And this is the type of film, it's definitely a change of pace, I think, for Aronofsky, given his more recent films, but, there's a lot of good elements here that I thought, there's got to be something I like, because, this is a film, it's all about, running around New York City, searching for money, and there's guns involved, and there's, a former baseball player who keeps talking about baseball, there's, pompous Russian gangsters, you have mohawked English punks, you have gun-toting Hasidic Jews, and I thought, okay, there's a lot going on in this film, and, this feels by sheer volume, this should be able to work. There should be some quirkiness here, some eccentricities, some absurdity, and also a lot of dark humor that you could place on top of a fairly gritty crime thriller here. And it comes close. This is a very frustrating film because there are so many good aspects of it that I really love, but the problem is I don't really feel like they ever take flight all that much. It always feels like a scene just when it feels like it's building momentum, just when it feels like there's some chemistry, there's some energy there, and that I was going to start laughing along with the comedy that this film obviously wanted to be. I couldn't quite get there. It's it feels like this film is just struggling to take off. So the premise of this film is that Hank, who is played by Austin Butler, he works at a bar. He was a former baseball player, but has been traumatized about about a life that he feels was denied him. But he still tries to make the best of his situation. He lives in New York City. He works at a bar where he has a fair amount of authority, and he gets to hang out with his girlfriend Yvonne, played by Zoe Kravitz, who they just have, she doesn't like his drinking as much, but they clearly have some good chemistry going from the first few scenes, including a very sexually charged scene where they come home and hop into bed. Not too bad. It's pretty good. But then, of course, things start going awry for him when he starts looking after the cat of his next door neighbor, who's a British punk called Russ, played by Matt Smith, which is pretty good change of pace for Matt Smith. He's fun for like the first few scenes. As the story goes along, though, he becomes like a little bit more of a, just another pawn in this big game rather than, dominating the narrative more. But, looking after Russ's cat attracts some dangerous people. It attracts, a dangerous Russian mobster played by Bad Bunny. It attracts a corrupt cop played by Regina King, who doesn't seem all that trustworthy. And it attracts some, Hasidic Jews who look like they're on their way to a mitzvah, except they gotta stop off and beat some people up, steal some money, and gun some people down, which they do in this film. And the two Jews here are played by Liev Schreiber and Vincent D'Onofrio. They meld pretty well into these roles. So, lots of pretty good stuff here. And in case you're wondering, they have a cat on the poster, the cat's in the trailer. Nothing bad happens to the cat, which is saying something, because this is a film where there's a heavy body count here. And characters get gunned down in rather grisly methods. That it's pretty damn shocking how violent this film gets at times. Which I would like. I do appreciate the fact that this film isn't afraid to get like dark. Like very dark, in fact. Like you feel really bad for how much Hank gets beat up and brutalized by all these criminal elements. And it never stops. Like, he gets beaten up so bad he ends up in the hospital. Like, stitches get pulled out. He's tortured in the worst ways. It gets pretty gruesome. And the thing is, I feel like there's almost kind of like a tightrope that you have to walk with that type of material if you want it to still be funny. Because, this is like, you could almost play this up straight as just a crime thriller. Like, a very fast-paced crime thriller. But like one that will be a little bit more serious. And I almost kind of wish it was, just because a lot of the times that this film tries for jokes, like, they don't quite hit. It feels like Aronofsky just like set up all these quirky, interesting characters, just got them on set, and just hope that if he turned on the camera, the magic would be there when they just, start reciting their lines and going through the intricate plot that Hank tries to navigate through. And it just, I get like the general idea of what's going on here, but just like it never feels like it connects with that offbeat tone. It always feels like there's a little bit of like a compartmentalized aspect to scenes where where Hank has to watch like a lot of his friends and associates get gunned down in the most vicious way possible, and other scenes where he's dicking around in his bathroom and touching cat poop and stuff like that. It always feels like these scenes feel like they should be funny, but I feel like they needed like another take or another try, or just stay in them a little bit longer, just so that there's more of a flow. Because without having that level of chemistry where you like the characters enough that you like their charm and you just want to hang out with them, it just feels like extra space just taken up. Just like, oh, here's the moment will be funny, and oh, here's the scene where we're going to be serious and talk about the plot, about who has the money, who has this key, where do we got to get to across town, and then we'll have a little joke here and a little joke there. Not a good joke, or there's a few jokes just rely on a very simple idea, like oh, they got to search Hank, so now he's naked, and then they're just gonna have soup with him after. It's like, okay, not bad, but if you're gonna linger on these scenes, there's gotta be something more. I'm sure there's gotta be something more funny about Hank being invited over to a house with a whole bunch of other Jews who just takes part in these traditions. Especially when you have Carol Kane in that scene who's speaking Yiddish, and it feels like, I know she's mostly into the film for just that one scene, but just it feels like there should be something more. It feels like a wasted opportunity. You have Carol Kane here. She's a great, funny woman, and she's speaking Yiddish, but she just feels like too much of a background character. And I can't help but feel like that might have been another thing too, is just like the sheer absurdity of just like the fantastic cast that he has here. Just I guess like the idea that they were shoved into these roles was supposed to be like funny on its own. I guess that because a lot of the humor just doesn't work. Like I mean, I like the crime aspect. I think that the crime is fairly interesting. There's enough going on. I don't think there's enough time spent. Like the Hasidic Jew characters, who are very interesting, are kind of bookended. They're not really shown until the third act. There's some twists in terms of like who's deceiving who, but they just kind of they arrive like almost out of necessity and without much shock. Regina King she's usually really good here. She is trying to make a meal out of her role of this cop who's not all that trustworthy and pretty bloodthirsty and vicious. She's not bad. The Russian mobsters, they're pretty funny. I mean, they're mostly supposed to be portrayed as being out of their element here, and they are for a bit, but I feel like a little of them goes a long way, and we do spend quite a lot of time with them just, trying to make jokes. Like, I guess the joke is kind of like one Russian mobster keeps trying to make jokes about Hank, and they never quite fit. It always just feels like he's taking the little English that he knows and tries to like make a joke out of it. And I guess the amusing part of that is that they're not really that funny. It's just like all these like, American words that he's just shoving out there. I guess like I kept waiting for, because like there are aspects where you can see the comedy happening here. And especially like there is one other cameo in the film that I won't spoil here, but again, it does feel like a missed opportunity for specifically where they place her in this narrative. And it's strange, like, because this feels like very much like a bland crime comedy, which I wouldn't expect out of someone like Aronofsky, who's he can take odd swings. They don't always work, but he's at least trying something very surprising. And here, I think probably the most surprising aspect of Caught Stealing is the credits, because like the credits feature like a cartoon cat, and at one point they're going backwards, and they cut to a cat as like a mid-credit Easter egg, as I guess like a little bit of a subversion here. It feels like, knowing Aronofsky's work, like there are films of his that I don't like. Like I don't like The Whale. I'm a little bit mixed on, like some of his other films, like Mother, I go back and forth on. Like, I do appreciate the message. It's hammered home a little bit. I'm always more like frustrated with Aronofsky films, but more from just the fact that his wild swings don't always pay off. This film doesn't feel like it has as much wildness going on. It feels like a crime comedy that it needs a few more jokes. It needs a few more surprises. Instead of just, like the shock of like, oh, who's going to eat a bullet next? It's like, well, probably most of the characters by the end of this film with the way that it goes, but just like it's missing something. It just feels like such a bland crime, and it shouldn't be this bland. Like, I mean, there's an erotically charged scene between Austin Butler and Zoe Kravitz. Matt Smith is fairly fun as a punk. Regina King is eating up her role. Bad Bunny is a Russian mobster. Schreiber and D'Onofrio is, like buddy, Jew gangsters. Lots of fun stuff in this film, and yet never quite worked for me. It never reached that level where I'm like, wow, this is amusing and quirky, and I'm really getting invested in the mixture of the darkness of murder and the comedic effects of hunting down money across New York City. So yeah, I really wish I could love Caught Stealing, because this does feel like a change of pace for Aronofsky, but not one that really works. It's a crime comedy that, a lot of great ingredients, doesn't quite make a great dish of a, quirky and fun to follow crime comedy. So yeah, yeah, Caught Stealing is just it tries, but it mostly just it bunts when really it should be trying to hit a home run with so many great players on this team. So Caught Stealing will be in theaters this weekend. One of many among like Toxic Avenger. And I wish I could cover the roses. I did miss that one. But yeah, there's some good stuff. Aside from that film. Maybe check out Primitive War. Good horror flick and a great dino flick. Oh boy. That sounds familiar. I think I might have gotten like a... I think I might have gotten a screener for that. I might have to check that out. I think it might be somewhere in here. I should probably check it out though. Yeah. There's a few. There's a few from IFC and basically IFC and like Shudder that came out this year. I'm trying to catch up on, so I'll catch up on a few horror films. All right. Next up on the docket is Weapons. This one I've been looking forward to covering. So grateful to have finally seen it. All right. Clear my throat here. One of the whitest kids you know. That's not a joke. He's literally in the comedy troupe, The Whitest Kids You Know. If you didn't know. All right. Let me get the notes up here. Okay. So here we go with Weapons in 3, 2, 1. So Weapons is the latest horror film from Zach Cregger, who previously directed Barbarian, which I loved that horror film for being like this great little subversion of typical horror tropes and just playing around with the medium. And it was a great film from Zach. And now that he's got another film out, Weapons, this feels like him, taking his filmmaking to the next level. This isn't him just, tinkering with typical horror tropes. This feels like he's dabbling in something much bigger here, like trying to make a horror film, like, tap into like a deeper anxiety and trauma without making it so easily pinned down for the allegory that it's kind of alluding to here. Because the whole idea behind this film is that an entire classroom, aside from one kid, has gone missing. So the whole town is trying to figure out, where did this entire class go? Because the cops can't find him anywhere, and they're trying to figure out this mystery, and it basically tears everybody apart in this community, and you get to watch how they deal with that problem. Now, the thing is, for this type of film, like, that kind of setup, and, it's called Weapons, you get the feeling like this is meant to be more of like an allegory of a school shooting. And it definitely does lean in that direction. But what I love about Zach's film is it's not about, even like, there's never a bullet fired in a classroom in this school. But what I love so much about how Zach has framed this film is that it's not about like the shooting itself. It's about basically the byproducts that come from it. It's how a community is affected by a tragic event that takes a lot of kids out of the equation, and nobody knows how to deal with it. So it's a lot of those anxieties that come with a school shooting, that where, you slip into depression, you find someone to blame, you let your anger explode, you just, you become a monster, you find yourself desperate, you cling to vices, just all of that. And you get to explore a handful of characters in this rather non-linear story for what Zach sets up here. So you follow, like, the school teacher for the classroom, Justine, played by Julia Garner, who just, she cares a lot, but she cares so much that, that she doesn't want to like overstep her boundaries, which is easy for her to do. So you understand the problems that have come with her, dealing with her position and the alcoholism that she slips into. You get to know a lot about Archer, played by Josh Brolin, who is one of the parents, who is laser focused on trying to find, the explanation for where his kid went. So he does like a lot of like looking up maps and talking to other parents. You feel for his plight, and also like a lot of the anger that he's dealing with for someone like Justine. You almost want to laugh at the police officer of Paul, played by Alden Ehrenreich, who it feels like this character almost kind of feels like that cop character from Thunder Road, which is, you don't want to laugh at him because like his life is falling apart, but also just like the desperation he feels and just how easily he slips into his vices and is just paranoid about losing everything. Like, he makes so many mistakes in this film that you kind of almost have to laugh at him. You do feel like I do think I feel a little bit more for like the homeless drug addict of James, played by Austin Abrams, who does encounter the cop a few times, only because like he has like nothing much left in his life, so you feel bad for him having to do drugs and steal from people. So you feel a little bit bad for him, especially in his scuffles with Paul, which happened more than once and involved more than a few odd accidents between them. So eventually there is an explanation reached for where exactly the children went, and obviously it lies within the the remaining kid of Alex, played here by Carrie Christopher. And I like how the character doesn't really have too much to say. So like this character, if someone was able to like listen to this kid or try to find a way to talk to him, they would be able to solve this mystery within like within a few hours instead of like a few days with how this happens here. But that, again, it feels like it's highlighting on the aspects that, come with like a school shooting, is that everyone makes mistakes about how they're trying to address it, and, and emotional mistakes that they often don't listen to children. Which is why, like, it's another great touch that, like, that Weapons also has like a child doing the opening and ending narration, because then it feels like there's like a more genuine nature to what's being explored here. So the fact that like the adults don't know how to deal with someone like Alex, it allows for like the creepier character of Gladys, played by Amy Madigan, with like she sticks out with her red hair and nasty teeth and big glasses. Like even from a distance you can spot her, and it's just like her presence is terrifying, and yet she pretty much like almost like literally blends into the foreground, that nobody takes notice of the fact that this woman might have something to do with this unexplained incident. And the fact that like you only get like bits and pieces, the fact that we follow, like, it's more of an anthology format where we follow each one of these characters in their own chapter, and we kind of get like a nonlinear storytelling with that eventually leads up to the ending here. And I like how it's like slowly revealed here. There are some moments where we're just allowed to like sit with the characters a bit and watch what scares them, peer into their nightmares, then have like, man, the creepy scene of just like looking at Alex's house from a distance, and just looking at something from a distance, and just like the door opens into darkness and you can't hear it from this distance, so it's just like the creepy silence about what might be inside or who's going to come out. And just the way that like Cregger weaves this film is effective in the fact that it's not so simple. Like, because the one thing I hate about horror films when watching with an audience is that there's always that one person who feels like, oh, I know where this is going, I see where this is, I know exactly what is happening in this film. And I love the fact that Cregger's film doesn't, and I think that's a big positive about the way that he writes a film like this, is that in this nonlinear format, he allows for certain clues to be revealed early that don't make any sense. Like right in the middle of Archer's investigation, he's just attacked by this person who just runs out of the woods for no reason that they can discern, and you don't learn about it until much later, and you just kind of cut it off at like the weirdest moment in each one of these stories. And I love that. That's great storytelling, because then at the end of each chapter something weird has happened that you're like, where is this going? What the heck is happening next here? And I love that. Like we did kind of get that a bit in Barbarian, and we get a lot more of it in Weapons. And just the cast is great for how they effortlessly blend into like this mixture of like it's horror and comedy, but like the comedy is more natural. Like because like Zach Cregger, one of the actors on Whitest Kids, in that comedy troupe, he's accomplished enough in working with the comedic format that he knows where the jokes can come in, and he finds just the right moments. Like there's a scene where Archer has a very terrifying dream about losing his son and tracking him down to a house, and just waking up being terrified because he envisions like a monster and a giant gun. And the moment he wakes up in the most shocking scene, like he wakes up and his immediate reaction is just, what the fuck? It's like you kind of like it's a great moment of comedy, because like yeah, it's hilarious for the delivery, but also a human reaction. It's like, yeah, be real here. If you saw that in your nightmares, you would wake up and scream that out loud. So there's a very much a relatable level of comedy here, and I think that kind of highlights the necessity of having a comedic director on horror, because they can find the right moments of levity. Because if it's just darkness throughout, there's never a moment where you get to understand and like the characters and see them as human beings. So humor is humanizing. So if you have that aspect in there and have all these fun little quirky moments between the characters that come naturally, they're just oh, okay, that's kind of cute. Now let's get back to the scene of somebody stabbing themselves in the face with a fork, or somebody peeling off somebody's skin, or someone's eyes bulging out. Which I guess I should mention that in case Barbarian wasn't much of a warning here. Weapons is very, very violent. There are scenes of people breaking open heads, eyes bulging out of skulls. And then there's the beautiful scene in the end where someone gets basically torn apart, from the jaw, from the limbs, just a bloody, gory mess by the end. Which is again another aspect that is both humorous and terrifying at the same time. There's a scene where someone's fighting for their life, and the fact that one of the weapons they use is a it's like a cheese peeler, and using it on someone's face, and that's it's shocking, it's gross, it's horrific, and also it's kind of funny. So, and I think that perfectly sums up Cregger's film, is that he has this balance of the shocking and the hilarious, that he knows how to weave it in a film that never stays on one specific track. It always feels like he's trying out something different with each character, with each scene, and trying stuff out, and almost refusing to make anything connect here. At one point there's an automatic weapon shown in Archer's dream, and they never have that type of weapon show up in the movie, but it's just it's a great aspect of it. There are so many elements that are meant to throw you off track, and I love the fact that if this film, this could have been a simple linear film of trying to people trying to find these missing kids, and there is a supernatural element. It could work as linear like that, but the fact that Cregger's able to explore different characters, we spend a lot of time with them, we have fun with them, and then we watch what terrible things happen to them. If this film were going to be that type of puzzle box, I feel like Cregger just, shook up the box, threw all the pieces around the room, doused them in blood, and hid all the pieces only to be revealed at certain times. He basically refuses you to peg this film down as something simple and easy to digest. It's not. It throws you off. It's a wonderful offbeat horror film that always manages to surprise, and it's just fun to just get lost within. So yeah, between Barbarian and Weapons, yeah, Zach Cregger's a hell of a horror director, and I cannot wait to see what he does next. So Weapons should be still in theaters. It's doing really well at the box office. Read a few of the comments here. Let's see here. It's going to say, hey, how you doing? Doing well. Occasional Goldfish says, from hearing you talk about Caught Stealing, it sounds like it would have been an amazing Coen Brothers pick back in the day. It kind of. I feel like the Coens might have found something much wilder to do with it. Yeah, I feel like they could have found something more. Let's see, Arthur Varish says, hello, I'm new on your channel and your videos are great. Well, thank you very much. This director is good at combining horror, gore, and laughs. Yeah. Much like Jordan Peele. I think, yeah, he's really proving that, comedic actors, they know how to direct horror films. So I guess what I'm saying is, all the comedic actors you can find, let them make horror films. Give them a budget. And anyone who's a comedian, give them a budget and see what they can do, because chances are they will turn out something like Weapons. They will make something that fun, Yeah, I had a blast with Weapons. It's like Krieger's like another Jordan Peele. I can't wait to see what wild horror film he comes up with next. All right, we got one last film to get through, and this is one that I have not didn't catch when it came out on Netflix, but then everyone said, "Oh, you got to see it," so I did. All right. Oh my goodness, my throat! I really got to clear it. Hang on. Oh, just realized I muted that there. All right. All right. Get the notes up here, and here we go with K-pop demons. In 3, 2, 1. So, K-pop Demon Hunters pretty much comes as advertised, but I was surprised by how much I kind of adored this film for not being all that big into K-pop. I mean, this feels like it kind of feels like like an anime type show, like a pop idols that are fighting demons when they're not singing up on stage. It feels like it could be like an anime TV series. And it feels like this could be like a very simple film, but I love the fact that the directing of Maggie Kang and Chris Applehans here, they have done an amazing job trying to make this combination of K-pop stars and hunting demons and drawing from like mythology and Korean pop culture and make it all kind of work within this kind of like star-crossed romance type of film. Because I was not expecting this to work. I was expecting to be like, okay, we'll probably get some cool musical sequences out of this, but we don't. We actually get some really fantastic music sequences out of this. So the premise is that there is this K-pop band called Huntrix, which is comprised of a trio of characters. There's the lead singer of Rumi, played by Arden Cho. There's the kind of like punk aggressor of Mira, played by Mei Hong. And there's the eccentric rapper of Zoe, played by Ji Young Yu. And they make up, you could probably guess like their whole deal here. They're a big deal in South Korea. They're mega sensations. Everyone loves them. They have tons of fans. But what they don't know is that they secretly fight a war against demons, because apparently demons have been leaking into the world for many centuries, and it's up to some women who have like the ability of song to not only defeat the demons but strengthen human beings. And it's like that's a brilliant premise for like a rock opera. The fact that you have to keep singing and that's going to give you power to defeat demons. I love that idea, especially for kids. To have a rock opera type thing like that for children. But a lot of the sequences here, they don't phone them in. Like there's some pretty damn catchy songs here. And of course they brought in some K-pop talent for this. So like the characters of Rumi, Mira, and Zoe, their singing voices are by Ejay, Audrey Nuna, and Ray Ami. And they're fantastic. Like their songs are catchy. And the thing is, like, I think that's probably going to be like the most crucial thing in a film like this, is that if you're going to make it a musical, and it's supposed to be a musical where everybody loves these people and their music, like they're just addicted to it, they can't get enough of it, they love it, you really need to sell that. Otherwise, the scenes where like characters are just kind of like bopping to it, you're not going to be on board. So thankfully, It is. There's a lot of catchy songs here about like Dun Dun Dun, and one about Soda Pop. They do get in your head. They are very much earworms. That just gets stuck there, which makes sense why they're having like sing-alongs for this now in theaters and on Netflix. So yeah, I love the music, but I also love the fact that there's more compelling characters to go along with this type of story about stopping demons. So the secret of Rumi is that she is also a demon, and she's trying to conceal this aspect of herself. But unfortunately, she can't once she realizes she has to deal with another demon called Jinyu, who feels the plight of Rumi. Jinyu also is trying, he's bound by trying to be a demon, but he really doesn't want to. And Rumi doesn't really want to kill demons either for having that association. So they kind of like bond, in secret, and, they become more attracted to each other. And I mean, which isn't too hard because, like, Zoe and Mira, they look at all the other members of this group called Saja Boys, and they love them so much. They're falling head over heels for these guys in the most cartoonish ways, which I love the fact that this film, it's CGI and it's styled to look like, pretty beautiful in the musical sequences, but when it's going for comedy, it goes all out cartoony. Like, it goes ridiculous anime Looney Tunes style here, especially for the scenes where Mira and Zoe are just like salivating over the Saja Boys, how pretty they are, and admiring their abs. And apparently they love their abs so much that they appear as corn on their eyeballs, and that corn gets so hot that it starts making popcorn. So I don't know if I've ever seen a cartoon where a woman is so hot for a dude's abs that she is crying popcorn of ecstasy. I've never seen that in a cartoon, but I'm kind of glad that I did, because it's actually pretty amusing. Because like, it happens so quick. You have to be like very quick on like the logic here, which I think speaks to like how well this film can move progressively with storytelling. It never feels like there's a moment where they're slowing down to explain everything, to explain like, oh yes, for thousands of years we've been fighting off these demons. We get actually a pretty cool sequence of setting that up, and we get that aspect of the Huntrix team and how they balance work and their defeating of demons in a great scene where it melds the two together, which shows how they kind of have to do both at the same time within a few seconds of each other. So I love how they set all that up, and especially the subtle hinting that they give on Rumi for how she feels about the demons, which is revealed more like visually. So just brilliant visual storytelling there. The star-crossed romance between Rumi and Jinyu is pretty sweet, especially for like the more humorous moments it finds between the two. And the film just knows how to have fun. It finds like the funniest moments for the inclusion of like funny characters played by Ken Jeong and Daniel Dae Kim for their scenes. They're having fun with the material here. The exaggeration on the three singers here is beautiful. It's hilarious. There's some great camaraderie between them. I love how their little in jokes, and how they just want nothing more to just to like lie on the couch, and how they try to be there for each other, and especially for like their music being so meaningful. Because there are several sequences where their music will be paired up with an action scene, and the tone and the lyrics just like fit so perfectly for a lot of those scenes. So I love how like music isn't just like the weapon, it's actually integral for how a lot of the characters feel in a lot of those scenes, which just like moves the story along just wondrously, because the animation is beautiful here. I love all the scenes of action, the very colorful visuals of the character designs and how their music videos are set up, and then just like weaving music into that. Like at one point, Huntrix is trying to like get back at Saja Boys by making a diss track, and it's filled with like this cruelty that Rumi just is trying to like lean away from. Like she's trying to like get Mira and Zoe to kind of see things more from the demon point of view, and realizing that might not happen unless she just comes out in in the most like in the way where she feels like she's been deceiving them this whole time, and that she can't feel that she'll be accepted. So there's plenty going on with that. in the film, and it's explored beautifully, and just has a fun tone to it, and it's just it's exciting when it needs to be, it's theatrical when it needs to be, and just you can't get the music out of your head. So I can understand why so many people want to go see like a sing-along version of it. It's just it's catchy, and hey, you know, I haven't seen many animated musicals in the past few years that really have won me over. Like, kind of like Disney's been falling off a bit, and out of the blue here from Sony Animation comes this this one, you know, Korean rock opera, CG animated for kids, and it's wonderful. It's exciting, it's fun, and the music is great. I was genuinely shocked by how much I would like this film. I expected to like kind of like go into the film and be like, okay, I might get some decent numbers out of it. There might be some fun humor in there, cool action scene. But the way that it all comes together is just it's fantastic. So yeah, what more can I say? I loved K-pop Demon Hunters. So K-pop Demon Hunters is playing on Netflix right now and has a theatrical screenings in a few places still. So you can catch that at the theater as well. Let's see. Still laughing at Justin Long measuring his basement and barking. Yeah, I don't know if this is a spoiler too, but I mean the film's been out for a while, but oh, what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, that this isn't a spoiler, is it? Justin Long is in Weapons. I think that's pretty clear. It's a small scene, but yeah, Justin Long is fun in that type of film. So yeah, man, I actually got through in record time. I thought I was gonna go much longer than that. All right, but before I get to the recap here, I should give like an update on some of the other videos I'm working on. So I am still working on the Shadiversity video. That is probably going to be a much longer video. There's a lot that I'm still working on in the script there, and I'm trying to find like a decent groove for it. So hopefully it'll all come together. But I've also been writing a video essay on Sesame Street and PragerU, which will probably be coming up right after Shadiversity, unless I get so overwhelmed with Shadversity stuff that I record that script first. We'll see which one I get to. I will get to the Shadversity because I know everybody voted on that video. But yeah, I'll be working on that, and I'm also plugging away at the banned movies list. It's going a little bit slower than I thought, but that's only because I want to put more detail into it. So yeah, if you want to follow that, that's currently going on Patreon. So without further ado, let's get to the recap of the movies we reviewed on today's stream. So we reviewed Caught Stealing, Darren Aronofsky's crime comedy starring Austin Butler. Has a lot of great ingredients. It has a few aspects that I think I would like in a film, but they just never quite add up to being a funny crime comedy. It's a very capable crime comedy, and with a great ensemble of characters like Vincent D'Onofrio and Matt Smith, but it just didn't quite work for me. Just didn't quite take off. We also reviewed Zach Cregger's Weapons, a film about kids who go missing and the anxieties and the fury that comes with the community, trying to grapple with it. Just wild, goes to unexpected places, and has just a great, darkly comedic tone underneath the surface of just genuinely terrifying and gory scenes. So yeah, it's another banger from Zach Cregger. And I reviewed K-pop Demon Hunters, a film about a K-pop group trying to save the world from demons, and it's fun in that aspect, but I think more engaging for the star-crossed romance and the absolute earworms of musical numbers in that film. So yeah, it's a great animated musical, probably one of the best that I've seen in like years at this point. So catch it if you can on Netflix or in theaters. So I think of all the films that I reviewed today, I think probably Weapons is the clear winner there. I'm definitely going to be coming back to this film again, especially towards the end of the year, to see if I still love it enough to put it at the top of my list. It might. It's pretty high. My current list is pretty high right now. But again, we have lots of other films coming out this fall. Like, oh my god, between September and October, so much good stuff. I cannot wait for for what's it? Begonia. We just recently got the trailer for it. It's a Yorgos Lanthimos film that is based on a South Korean film that I have seen that I actually kind of love. It's a weird film called I think it's called Please Save the Green Planet, which is all about a paranoid conspiracist who's basically kidnapped somebody, a powerful figure who he believes is really an alien. So that's the general premise of Begonia, but I'm fully expecting Lanthimos to take this material in wilder directions than the original film. Because the original film is great. It's weird fun, but I get the feeling that Lanthimos looked at the material and said, I can go weirder than that. Because he has. If you're familiar with the original ending of Poor Things in the book, Lanthimos takes a huge swing with where he goes with the ending, and that it's a big change from the book. So I'm greatly looking forward to seeing what he can do with that film. And also, so many great directors. We got another Luca Guadagnino film. We've got I'm blanking on a few here, but we should have there's a whole bunch of great stuff coming up. So you can look forward to all that. It's that other film, Him, coming out. Yeah. So if you want to stay up to date on the latest films as they come out, be sure to subscribe to this channel. Be sure to like it so that other people know about Caught Stealing, and they know that, maybe this film with a whole bunch of different characters killing each other, like Russians and Jews running after each other with guns and bashing their heads together, that could, if that's up your alley, it might be. It wasn't quite for me, and I really wanted it to. But hey, I'm sure it will be for somebody. I begrudge nobody for digging that film. So be sure to like it and subscribe. If you can also support my channel on Patreon, in which, like I said, I am writing a book on banned movies, which patrons will get a copy of once it's finished. But also patrons get early access to a lot of the videos that I finish, like the Ralph Bakshi film. The Ralph Bakshi video I made involving Saberspark and cartoon critics. That video actually got released about a day early, so everyone on Patreon could see it. I think about 10 people watched it before we went live. So so if you want early access, if you want to see the stuff before it comes out, support me on Patreon. So I'll be back in about 2 weeks where I don't even know what we're going to cover next. There's so many screeners I've got coming out. Maybe Downton Abbey. Maybe it, if I push it back a few more weeks, I could probably review Him in that amount of time. So we'll see. There was always something new here. So yeah, if you'd like to read reviews of everything I've reviewed here today, you can check out movieswithmark.com, in which you can see written reviews of Weapons, K-Pop Demon Hunters, and Caught Stealing, as well as many other reviews, especially from this year. So yeah, we're coming up on fall. Lots of movies that are going to be covered then, and I can't wait to talk with all of you about them. So special thanks to everyone who stopped by here, especially all the patrons who have just been a great support. I'm honestly still shocked how many people I've still got following me, and just following for all the crap I do, just talking about movies I love, informing people about what are the films to go watch, and just expressing myself through these video essays. It's been wonderful. So special thanks to Heavy Lobster, Doom Crab, Saliv88, Justice SZ, Nodals, Mr. Yaru, Totally Fries, Billy Goats Gruff, 3D Arium, Shader, Tanya, Brett, and of course Viceroy Scorn, who is in the chat. So yeah, lots of fun stuff coming up this fall. So be sure that you're subscribed, so you don't miss out on the latest movies. So there we go. We got through those 3 films, and I'll check back with you in about 2 weeks or so. And yeah, until next time, have a good one, everybody.